Welcome to the official podcast at ContentChampion.com. Join our heroic quest to discover truly epic content. Introducing your host, the content champion himself, Lost James.
Hi folks, welcome to session 5 of the Content Champion podcast. On the show today, I'm very happy to be joined by Peep Laja of ConversionXL, an online entrepreneur and self-confessed conversion optimization junkie. Peep is an expert on how to convert website visitors into taking the action you desire. And he's also a highly accomplished blogger on all issues relating to conversion optimization. With such a depth of knowledge to delve into, I couldn't wait to get started. Thanks, Peep, very much for coming on today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, to kick off, could you tell my listeners a bit about yourself and your businesses?
Well, I run a conversion optimization agency called Markitect. And what we do is we help businesses convert more traffic into buyers. So we either do this through continuous optimization month to month, or we do radical makeovers if the current design sucks. So building conversion optimized user interfaces is part of what we do. And I also blog over at ConversionXL about conversion optimization and anything ROI related.
Now, I read your blog regularly, so I do recommend that to my listeners. Now, I'd like to split this conversation into two if I can, traffic and conversion, because you're obviously a master at both of them. So let's jump straight in with traffic tactics. What strategies do you use to get more visitors to your blog posts? And does it all start with quality content?
Well, I run my blog is a marketing blog, and, there's only 17 billion competitors out there. So, and my blog is fairly new. It's like 16 months old. So when I started, I really did a lot of research as to how can a blog still break through and cut through the noise. And my research showed me that the blog posts that get most attention, most social media mentions, and most links are blog posts that are long and thorough. The sweet spot is actually between, let's say, 1,800 and like 3,300 words. So that was my strategy from the get-go, to write very long, thorough posts. And the strategy has paid off very well. So I'm getting around 100,000 readers a month right now.
Wow.
And I credit all of it to quality content. I haven't done any link building other than writing good content and hoping people link to me, which has happened a lot. You can just check the number of backlinks to my blog. So that's all organic. So the only thing apart from quality content that I do is I research my blog post title for SEO reasons. And 2, if I bring examples in my blog post, let's say I mention a blogger or a company or whatever, then I tend to reach out to them, say, hey, I mentioned in my latest blog post. And quite often they tweet it out, link to it. So some word of mouth from there.
And I read, I think it was on Think Traffic, Corbett Barr's blog, that you got something like 30,000 visitors in your first month just using that strategy. Is that right?
That's right. It was actually 50,000 even.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when I started, I knew that if I'm going to just, wait for organic growth, I'm going to wait for a really, really long time, because my blog was brand new. I had no name recognition, no SEO power. So I knew that I have to have a couple of hit posts, viral posts. And of course, you can't guarantee viral, but I picked a community. I picked Hacker News, which, is huge. And I wrote my very first blog post having that audience in mind, hoping that it will rank high in Hacker News. So, the very first blog post I wrote was about pricing, because having just run a startup myself, I knew that most startups struggle with pricing. And so I wrote a blog post about pricing strategies. And, sure enough, became number 1 on Hacker News. That sent me heaps of traffic, and, I got my first loyal readers since then, and then I managed to repeat the success a couple of times, and that's how I got started.
Well, I guess I'm a ConversionXL nerd, because I've read probably every single post on your blog, and what strikes me about them is that they are very, very detailed, and all of them like ultimate guides to the subject you're talking about. A lot of my listeners who are struggling to get blog traffic, though, will find this just amazing that you got 50,000 visitors in your first month. You get 100,000 visitors a month from basically writing very long, detailed, well-researched, high-quality posts. It is amazing that you're not doing any backlinking or any real social media strategies to get that traffic.
No, yeah, not really. So it's all about great content, and I actually don't even blog that often. So in most cases, it's one post per week, sometimes two. Because I have a business to run as well. And even though to talk about how my blog converts into money, I would say that 80% of my customers come to my blog. They happen to somehow stumble upon a post. They like the quality. They have instant trust, like this guy must know what he's talking about because the post is, pretty convincing. And that turns into business. So, there are bloggers out there that often publish numbers, how much money they're making with their blog. So I have a staff of 10 people who are all pretty much getting paid through the blog.
Sure. So, this is one of my questions, really. The content, how much of it is you as a personality, as an authority within your sector? And I think what you're saying is that basically you started with the high quality content and you have now become an authority, a go-to guy within the conversion niche, if you like.
Well, I surely like to hope so. But yes, before the blog, nobody knew who I was. I have been blogging for years, just not in English, because English is not my first language, obviously. So all of the expertise, all of the clout that I've got all of it is thanks to the blog.
It's quite sobering, actually, that then by extension, you're saying that a lot of the traffic generation strategies, a lot of the link building strategies that are bandied about by so-called gurus, they don't really work and you don't really need to use them.
I'm sure they do work. More links equals the higher rankings and so on. But once people find your blog post through a search, they start reading it. And if it's mediocre, then what? Nothing. They'll hit the back button and go away, find a better blog. I hear from my readers each month, asking advice and all that. And they link to their own blog and say, hey, what do you think of my blog? I'm trying to make it in whatever niche. And it's usually, one of those mediocre 500 words, very general blog posts without any links to any resources, no examples, just generic blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, dude, with that kind of a blog, you're never going to make it.
I guess a lot of people are wincing now because a lot of bloggers are guilty as charged when it comes to that kind of content. I know I've produced a bit of that in the past. It's often time and commitment, isn't it? But I guess you're saying it's not worth doing. If you haven't got time to do it properly, don't bother, because it needs to be a cut above to get the visitors to link into it naturally.
Exactly. Unless you're somehow famous outside of blogging, if you're like Seth Godin, he can write very short posts and people will read it and say, wow. But if you're somebody who's not known, blog is your window to become known, to build your reputation and all that. So if your blog is mediocre, the impression people are going to have about you is that you're, yet another mediocre blogger.
Plenty of those. We don't want to be one of those.
You're listening to the Content Champion podcast, showcasing high-quality content across the web.
Okay, let's move on to conversion strategies. As we've gone through, a lot of people do struggle to get traffic. You've obviously helped us with that, but they often overlook then the conversion strategies that get people to take action on their sites. How important is monitoring conversion rates on your websites?
Well, if you don't monitor your conversion rates, then you're blind when you don't have to be. So it's plain stupid. Most blogs need more conversions, not more traffic. Unless you don't have any traffic, you gotta make the most of what you have every day. So if your site is not optimized for conversions, then no matter what your traffic is, you're basically, it's like your website is a bucket with holes in it. So you leak clients.
Now I know you've got an excellent email download ebook on this and an excellent book as well. that's available for sale. But could you give us just a few simple strategies that my listeners could use to start measuring conversion rates on their sites? Do they need to start by defining certain key metrics like, the average cost per sale and things like that?
Well, it's very individual, meaning it depends on the type of the business. So if it's e-commerce, it's of course very straightforward. You need to have e-commerce tracking switched on in your Google Analytics and of course configured in your shopping cart software, so you'll see how well you're doing. But if it's not an e-commerce site, if it's a lead gen or you're a chiropractor or whatnot, then you need to have on your website you have a goal what you want users to do. If it's to pick up the phone and call you, you need to integrate with a call tracking software. Plenty of those around. If people make bookings online or pricing queries or whatnot, then you need to set a goal in your Google Analytics that once people arrive on your thank you URL, the URL they land on once they buy something or inquire about your services, once you set that as your goal on your website, then Google Analytics will start showing you your conversion rate, how many visitors will convert. And of course, once you see that data, then everything becomes much easier. You actually can start marketing better, because conversion optimization is in the end, it's about better marketing. You can see which traffic sources send you people that actually are interested in what you have to offer. So you can optimize for traffic sources and stop wasting time on sources that don't convert, like StumbleUpon. Or you can start segmenting what are people who buy and people who don't buy, what are they doing different on my site? Because using advanced segments in Google Analytics, you can track people who convert and who don't convert separately, and you'll find lots of interesting things and so on. So Google Analytics, everybody has it. It's free. Setting up goals is easy if you don't know how to do it. YouTube is full of videos that will show you how to do it.
And in terms of, conversions for getting people to join your mailing list, your email list, do you find that simply writing excellent content just makes people join your mailing list? Is it as simple as that?
Well, not really. Getting people to join your email list is like a transaction like any other. It's like selling a car. You offer something in exchange for their email address. The email address is the currency. So now they weigh whether what you offer, what they get in return, is worth paying, with their email address. Nobody wants to join yet another newsletter. So if your call to action is join my newsletter, people ain't gonna join. Or if it's be the first to know or stay up to date, all these things is a very low value offers. So you need to start with a value proposition that is actually attractive to your user base. So, basically you need a lead magnet, or if you're an e-commerce site, maybe it's a coupon for first-time buyers, something that people that you're after find valuable, and yet something that doesn't cost you much. So it can be a white paper, a guide, can be a coupon, whatnot. So you need to figure out what that is. An easy way to do it is, you brainstorm 10 ideas of what your users might be interested in, and then have them vote about it. Create an online poll and say, hey, if you could read any of these 10 guides or 5 or however many, vote for the one that is most, interesting for you. And then that will tell you quickly what could work. So before even creating the content, you just basically figure it out. So that's number one, is that you need to have a proper value proposition, something that you give in exchange for the email address. And then second thing is, of course, placement on your site. Where is it that you're going to invite people to join your list? If you have a blog, that depends on your site, of course. It's easier if it's a blog. It's more difficult if it's an e-commerce site.
And you mentioned Google Analytics there. Is that, it's obviously free, but are there more advanced packages of analytics software that you personally recommend?
No, actually no. Some of the low-cost analytics softwares like Clicky, they're not better. Actually, they're even worse. They're simpler sometimes for novices. Investing a day into getting to know Google Analytics is well worth it. Google Analytics also, of course, comes as an enterprise-level package, and it costs, if I'm not mistaken, $100,000 a year. And that, if you get that package, it does not add any functionality. you just get an account manager, and phone support and all that stuff. So Google Analytics is an enterprise level tool, and you can do amazing things with it. So the only thing that is, let's say, more powerful is the Adobe Site Catalyst. And anyone who's used it will admit that Site Catalyst is a usability nightmare compared to Google Analytics. So I actually, even with all the money in the world, I'd still use Google Analytics.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, you've blogged about this quite extensively, about obviously web design in aiding conversions. How important is a user-friendly design to help people take action that you want on a site?
Now with, web is getting more and more cluttered with a bunch of websites. Everybody has a bunch of competitors. And what we know is that users do competitive research, comparison shopping. So when they're first time on your site, they don't know anything about you, your brand maybe is not that well known, then it's your website that is going to create that first impression about you. And that is huge for conversions. Because people's attention span is low. They're not even interested in you yet. So they're only going to look at superficial stuff and make up their mind about you and what you have to offer. So if your site looks crap, if it looks mediocre or worse, then you're actually fighting an uphill battle. They'll immediately think that you're less trustworthy, your products are crappier, and so on and so forth. So if you have attractive visual design, then that immediately helps you get people down the sales funnel. People are more trusting. They have a better perception about your business, your services. First impressions are hugely important. In tests, when people are asked to rate websites, then websites that look good are constantly rated better than websites that have superior usability. In my own line of work, when there's only one thing that we do to a client website, everything else stays the same, we just change the visual design and conversions will go up. There is this myth online, probably some of your readers have seen it, that ugly websites sell better.
Yeah.
That's BS. They don't. They do not. So whoever claims that, their opinion of what a sleek design looks like is probably a bunch of sliders. So visual design, hugely important, usability as well. Whenever you have a website, you need to do some usability testing. It's super cheap. Tools like usertesting.com or Open Hallway. The main thing that usability testing does for you is that if there is something that is unclear, people do not understand how your product works or what your business does, that's a major bottleneck. That's a major turnoff. People can't figure out how to buy it. People can't figure out how to fill a form on your site. Usability testing is a key tool that helps you figure out if your site is difficult to use. Because if it is, if there's anything that is confusing or unclear or difficult, you will lose tons of sales. Usability is not conversion optimization. It will basically help you identify the biggest bottlenecks so you could fix them.
It's amazing. I've been copywriting for 14 years for clients all over the UK and Europe and some in North America. And in that time, the amount of clients that come to me who can't clearly articulate their USP or explain what they do clearly on their website when you first go to the site is amazing. The amount of times I've actually had to dig down and ask people what they actually do, and they're amazed that I can't see it from their website because it just isn't clear. I mean, this is something you must come across a lot as well with when you're designing sites for conversion and usability.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Having a clear value proposition is basically one of the key starting points for us. Everything else follows from there. And when I review websites or when I start to work on a new client website, it's always the number one thing that sucks. They either don't have a value proposition at all, or it's something vague. So basically, people don't figure out what you do, and if I'm your, perfect ideal customer, why should I buy from you? You're so right. The people really struggle with it, especially because they've been in their business for, so many years. They don't even remember what it's like not to know about their business.
It's quite heartening, though, everything you're saying through the course of this conversation. Basically, if you spend a lot of time developing high-quality content and really dig down and do your research, you'll get more traffic. If you spend a lot of time developing a good website or you pay to have a great website designed, you'll get more traffic. And then if you monitor conversion rates on that site and make sure it's easy to use, you'll ultimately get more traffic. So this doesn't have to be hard, any of it.
Well, I mean, it is not easy because there's lots to know. But yes, the main strategy is not complicated at all. Execution, pretty complicated. In terms of that, you need to learn a lot. You need to really put in effort. I spend like 12 hours writing blog posts. The design, if you're not a designer, do not start. I won a web design competition maybe 10 years ago. I don't design a single website. Even though I was okay, there are so many people that are so much better than me. I'm not even going to try. If you can't write and you think, I'll just download a bunch of copywriting ebooks and just do it myself. Yes, you can do that and waste a bunch of time and write pretty crappy copy still in the end. It's still smarter, more effective, and probably cheaper to hire a copywriter. Of course, as you know probably better than me, finding a good copywriter is very difficult. I hire a lot of copywriters. Most of them suck. So my number one tip for hiring a copywriter is that do not hire anybody cheap because they're going to suck. You're better off writing your own copy. That's my opinion. As for designers, same thing. Do not hire anybody cheap because they're going to suck. So you're basically going to waste your money. So it's better to save up, get somebody who knows what they're doing, and that's how you get return on your investment.
That's music to my ears, Pep, because the amount of people that come to me saying, I want this done, I want that done, I want 20 pages written and this written for a brochure, etc., etc. And I say, well, what's your budget? And they say, I've got £200. And you're sort of like, okay, well, you're not even going to touch the sides with that. So come back when you're a bit more realistic. I think there's an expectation that the execution, as you say, is perhaps easier than it could be. But no, that's great advice. Okay, wrapping this up then, just a couple more things. As I say, I do visit your blog, ConversionXL. I recommend it. It's excellent. I've also bought a copy of your superb book, How to Build Websites That Sell. Could you just remind my listeners where we can find all your stuff, please?
ConversionXL.com. Everything is there. You'll find the blog, links to my agency website, and even the link to my book on Amazon.
Wait for it, listeners. Here comes the PS question.
This is what I call the PS question, which is where I ask experts in content marketing and content creation to share one advanced strategy with my listeners. Do you have anything that you could share with us in that regard, please?
Okay, well, here's a tip. I'm not sure how many other people are doing it. If you run a blog and you want to grow your list fast, then I've tested a bunch of ways, and the best thing that works for me is a scroll-triggered box to capture emails. It's the box that appears once people scroll down on your site. So for WordPress, there's a plugin called Dream Grow scroll-triggered box. That works superbly well. So on an average blog, for sure you get a 3% conversion rate, which is 3 times more than an average blog gets.
And this is one of those things that you scroll down, and as you scroll, it pops up. So it isn't that in your face. It's actually giving you a chance to engage with the site before you're asked to opt in.
Exactly. And when people start scrolling down, that's already kind of proof that they like what they read. They're interested enough that they'll actually scroll down and, read more. So once the scroll trigger box appears, and appearing is a motion, and, human eyes react to movement. So it captures their attention. If the value proposition there, something that you offer in exchange for their email address is attractive, they might be interested. More people are interested in that offer than, offer on your sidebar or wherever else.
Well, that's fantastic advice. Look, Pep, thank you very much indeed for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's very kind of you, and I wish you all the best with everything you do.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, guys, that was Content Champion podcast number 5. Thanks again to Peep Laja. What a fantastic interview. I'm so grateful for his time. I hope you enjoyed that. You can find us on Stitcher Radio, the BlackBerry Network, and of course on iTunes. And until next time...
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's the Content Champion.